General Hospital spoilers for Tuesday, July 22 reveal that the PCPD will investigate an abduction case, while Willow Tate prepares to become Mrs. Drew Kane. Jen Sidwell will also want to make a transaction, so let's discuss what's coming up in Port Charles. Willow will tell Elizabeth Baldwin about her upcoming wedding, and how excited she is to become Drew Kane's wife. These marriages are doomed, but Willow will enjoy tying the married for now. Meanwhile, Tracy Quartermain will have a meeting with Martin Gray, who will provide her with important updates. Tracy will not like what she hears because she will argue, that is never going to happen. Portia Robinson will get some good advice from Isaiah Gannon. Isaiah will insist that if Portia is going down, she should go out fighting. Portia has had enough of Drew pressuring her into doing things she does not want to do, so she has stopped giving in to all of his demands. However, Curtis Ashford plans to make his own dramatic move later this week. Curtis appears to be planning to betray Nina Reeves and tell Willow about her mother's passionate encounters with Drew. Until then, let's talk about Lucas Jones, who will show up at the police station to report Marco Rios missing. Lucas will point the finger at Sonny Corinthos, prompting ADA Justine Turner to request the PCPD investigate this as a possible kidnapping. Harrison Chase will face ADA Turner's pressure while Marco remains missing. Over with Sidwell. He will call and offer a deal. Sidwell appears to be willing to give in to some of Sonny's requests, but he will expect to obtain what he wants in return, specifically Marco's freedom. Laura Collins will next get distressing news, which may be related to Marco's disappearance. Sonny will eventually speak with Laura and make a promise. "If you don't, I will," Sonny says to Laura in Tuesday's JH preview video. Willow is about to go down the aisle and marry the cult leader of her dreams, but no one wanted the wedding. Some claim he's Shiloh, but we believe he's the actual Drew Kane with the personality Franco imagined in 2019. Before the festivities begin, Portia does her best to deliver Willow a firm warning about the man who she believes saved her life. She informs Willow that she has no idea who Drew really is. Willow appears shaken by the words, but she is unwilling to admit she made a mistake. Curtis, too, has a secret. He promises Portia that he will fight to save her, even if it means betraying a friend. Who is willing to bet that Curtis will reveal Nina's big secret and make her affair with Drew public? Is that even enough to make Willow see the light? She probably wouldn't believe Curtis. Drew will simply lie. But will Nina's expression reveal the truth? Nina's desperation. General Hospital's Nina can't let Willow marry Drew image. ABC. Meanwhile, Nina knows she can't let her daughter marry this terrible, awful man. She informs Ava that as Willow's mother, she can't stand by and allow this happen any longer. Will she decide to tell Willow the truth before Curtis exposes her? She should have done it long ago, but it may be too late. Willow may not believe her mother at this time, or she may assume Nina is telling her this to prevent her from marrying Drew. Willow may realize that her wedding is doomed when she attempts to walk down the aisle and notices that there is hardly anyone there. Nina and Aunt Liesel arrive, as do Ava and Rick. Kai, Marty, and Alexis are the only people there to support the groom. At the very least, they found Scout a location where she can wear her flower girl dress. What a wedding for the gruesome twosome. The situation in Port Charles has taken another dramatic and unexpected turn, as the Port Charles Police Department works to solve a disturbing kidnapping case that has rattled the community. Tensions rise as questions swirl over the inexplicable disappearance, and Willow Tate finds herself at an emotional and moral crossroads. In the midst of the chaos, she appears ready to take the plunge and officially become Mrs. Drew Kane, despite the shockwaves it causes among those closest to her. The PCPD investigation is the talk of the town. Details of the abduction remain unclear, but theories persist about a possible planned cover-up or possibly an inside job. Several Port Charles people have recently gone unnoticed, and the distinction between victims and suspects is becoming increasingly blurred. Jordan Ashford, despite the fact that she is no longer commissioner, remains in close contact with the department's inner workings and is providing unofficial advice to the active officers on the case. Meanwhile, Chase and Dante explore the lead with increasing irritation, as each clue creates more questions than answers. While the town is gripped by concern over the escalating situation, Willow Tate is quietly preparing for what could be the most important decision of her life. She has come a long way since her days as a struggling teacher and grieving mother. She is now someone who has been through life-threatening situations, and her resolve has only grown stronger as a result. The near-death experiences, her convoluted family relationships, and the breakdown of all she once trusted have driven her to seek something she can finally control. Currently, that something appears to be her relationship with Drew Kane. Willow sees becoming Mrs. Drew Kane as more about survival than romance, perhaps emotional survival, but survival nonetheless. She has clung to Drew as the only steady presence in a world that is constantly shifting beneath her. Michael's betrayals and lies, no matter how well-intentioned, have eroded her trust in him in ways that may never be repaired. Drew provides her with regularity and what appears to be unwavering loyalty. Willow is aware of the union's bad optics. She's aware of how it appears to those around her, particularly those who still regard her as Michael's wife and mother of his children. That understanding, however, does not modify what she believes she must do. Drew has been her rock during the darkest nights. Following her transplant recovery and the emotional toll of nearly losing her life, she began to see Drew as a man who never fails to show up, rather than a former Navy SEAL or a business associate. His calm demeanor, persistent faith in her, and patience, all of which formerly made him feel like a supporting character, now make him the safest choice she can fathom. And perhaps after everything she's been through, safety is more appealing than passion. Of course, Drew has his own motivations. His public image is currently precarious, hovering somewhere between corporate hero and moral question mark. His increasingly aggressive business decisions, particularly at Aurora Media, have sparked concerns. Aligning with Willow, a popular and compassionate character in Port Charles, benefits him more than he realizes. Their friendship is genuine, but there are undercurrents that both silently ignore. Love may exist, but it is inextricably linked to convenience, redemption, and the desire to prove something to oneself and others. Willow's children also play an important role in this equation. Wiley and Amelia had already experienced instability in the last year. Willow wants to protect children from additional disruption, and Drew provides the strong, no-nonsense presence she believes they require. Even that decision is fraught with emotional minefields. Despite being romantically sidelined, Michael remains their father. Willow attempts to tell herself that co-parenting would be civil, but the truth is much murkier. Michael still loves her. Everyone knows that, and seeing her build a life with Drew feels like a cruel echo of his mistakes. Carly has also taken note of Willow's fluctuating emotions. Her protectiveness over Drew is intense, and while she pretends to embrace whatever makes her kid happy, her body language and tone suggest otherwise. She doesn't fully trust Willow's reasons for swiftly attaching herself to Drew after splitting up with Michael. Carly's romantic instincts are typically off the mark, but her intuition is razor-sharp when it comes to knowing how power works in family dynamics. If she believes Willow's action would harm Drew or Michael, she is unlikely to remain silent. Willow's decision is rooted in a deep, painful longing for clarity. She's tired of the uncertainty that has pervaded her life, being torn between families, different versions of herself, hope and despair. Drew hands her something substantial. He listens when she speaks, makes no judgments, and does not bear the burden of broken promises. In some ways, he represents the clean slate she seeks. A new beginning after years of turmoil. Even as Willow begins to emotionally prepare for this next step, the memories of her past refuse to fade. She recalls her early days with Michael, those moments of pure connection before secrets and schemes shattered their bond. A small part of her wonders if marrying Drew is an escape route rather than a brave step forward. But she tells herself that people don't survive in Port Charles by waiting for things to improve. They survive by going forward, even if the future is unknown. Meanwhile, the PCPD's investigation is getting closer to a dramatic conclusion. Rumors persist that someone close to Drew may have engineered aspects of the abduction case. The timing of the incident, the victim's connections to Aurora's legal team, and Drew's own involvement with shady characters from his time in Pentonville have all raised questions. Willow may become ensnared in a web far more perilous than she thinks. If the truth about Drew's possible involvement, or even complicity, is revealed, it may shatter her fragile trust in him. She ignores those thoughts for the time being. She concentrates on the tiny things. Breakfast with Wiley, decorating Amelia's nursery, and morning walks through Rice Plaza. She is gradually rebuilding her life. It's unclear whether this is a house of cards. Willow, on the other hand, is choosing certainty right now, no matter how imperfect it is. Becoming Mrs. Drew Kane may not be the fairy tale she always envisaged, but she is forging her own story. And in Port Charles, such agency can be more potent than a wedding vow. The suspense is palpable as Port Charles prepares for one of its most emotionally charged episodes yet. Willow's wedding day approaches, and what should have been a joyous occasion quickly devolves into a heart and mind crisis. Willow's family and friends realize something is wrong. She smiles for the cameras and goes through the motions, but beneath the surface, she is a storm about to explode. Her gaze is distant, her words measured, and her movements nearly robotic. For those who adore her, it is evident that something deeper is going on, something that cannot be ignored any longer. As the guests arrive and the church fills with flowers and candlelight, all hands are suddenly mobilized, not to prepare the aisle, but to save Willow from herself. Michael, attempting to keep things together, is unaware that his bride is gradually unraveling. He's been so preoccupied with making this day great that he's missed the cues. Prolonged looks, silences, and forced grins. Willow's thoughts are elsewhere, tormented by doubts she has not expressed. She's gone through a lot: her illness, her divided family, the weight of the truth about Nina, and now that everything appears to be back on track, the temptation to be happy is tremendous. Everyone expects her to be grateful, move on, and enjoy life. Willow, on the other hand, is still grieving for what she has lost, as well as what she may lose if she walks down the aisle with unresolved feelings. Carly is the first to act. She sees herself in Willow, recalling her own times of silent collapse disguised behind a calm veneer. Carly does not wait for others to take the lead. She corners Willow in a dressing room just before the ceremony, her voice quiet but stern. She raises difficult issues that no one else is willing to ask. Is this what you want? Are you doing this for yourself or for everyone? Carly's confrontation is not forceful. It is maternal and very compassionate. Willow, caught off guard, attempts to reassure her. Her voice trembles and her hands shake. Carly understands the truth without having to hear it. Willow is clinging on with a thread. Meanwhile, Brooklyn and Sasha are rallying in the background. They've both seen Willow's fragility in recent weeks, despite her attempts to hide it. Sasha recognizes the signs because she has experienced them firsthand. The sleepless nights, the difficult chats, the way Willow grips silence like it's a lifeline. Brooklyn, as arrogant as ever, wants to call off the wedding totally, but Sasha insists on caution. They decide to divert the audience while someone contacts Willow. It's no longer about stopping a wedding. It's about saving a woman who feels overwhelmed by her own expectations. Inside the church, the atmosphere begins to shift. Guests are restless. Michael becomes concerned when he hears murmurs that Willow hasn't yet emerged. He turns to Sonny, who has those sharp, calculating eyes. Sonny has been many things in his life: mob leader, protector, father. But right now he's just a man watching his kid be overcome by emotional turmoil. Sonny doesn't say much, but when he finally pulls Michael aside, he gives him a quiet warning. Sometimes love requires letting someone walk away if they aren't ready. Sonny's vulnerability is rare, and it shakes Michael. Nina paces outside the bridal suite, desperate to get in. She's been kept at arm's length for months, but she can't stand by and watch her daughter break down. She begs Carly to let her speak with Willow. Carly hesitates, unsure whether Nina will help or make matters worse, but something in Nina's voice persuades her. When Nina eventually enters the room, she notices a completely different Willow from the powerful young woman she has attempted to get to know. Willow is crushed on a velvet sofa, holding the hem of her garment like a lifeline. Her makeup is flawless, yet her eyes are hollow. What happens next is raw and unscripted. Nina does not apologize or beg for forgiveness. She simply listens. She tells Willow that it's okay to have doubts and be afraid, that love does not erase trauma or alleviate pain. She reminds Willow that today does not have to define her. There is no shame in pausing and admitting she is not ready. Willow does not cry at first, but when Nina reaches out and softly touches her hand, something breaks. The walls fall. The tears come quickly and heavily. She sobs not only from fear, but also from relief that she has finally been understood. As the minutes pass and the wedding is officially postponed, Michael takes a decision. He begins removing his boutonniere, unfastening the jacket button he had meticulously prepared. He has no idea what's going on, but he knows it's not their time. He approaches to the altar and informs the crowd that the wedding has been postponed. Not cancelled. Just paused. He wants everyone to respect their privacy. There's no drama in his voice, just grief. And understanding. Willow finally speaks inside the suite. She tells Nina, Carly, and Sasha that she cannot do it today. She isn't sure why, but something in her soul is telling her to wait. That she needs to heal further. To breathe. To stop pretending she's completely fine. Carly nods, indicating understanding. Nina surprisingly does not push back. Even Brooklyn, upon hearing the news, exclaims, "Good. Then we did something right today." The show concludes without a wedding, but with a peaceful moment of reflection. Willow sits alone by a window, still wearing her dress, watching the rain pour outside. Michael enters hesitantly, no longer dressed for the altar. He sits next her, silent, and takes her hand. There is no blame or pressure. Just love. A different type of love, one that supports rather than demands or expects. The kind that understands how important timing is. The sneak peek reveals more than simply a twist in the wedding plot. It provides a more in-depth look at the emotional fragility of recovery, pressure, and attempting to be happy while grieving. Everyone in Willow's life banded together not to preserve a ceremony, but to save her peace. They reminded her, and the audience, that healing is not a straight line. Sometimes the most courageous thing a person can do is say, "Not yet." Jack comes at the Metro Court pool, where Carly is preparing for a private party. He confesses that he is the client who reserved the pool exclusively for them. Are Carly and Jack officially together? Carly and Jack take a plunge in the pool and sip champagne. Carly inquires as to what she owes this surprise. Jack acknowledges they haven't spent much time together recently, and he misses her. She admits she has missed him and they kiss. Carly inquires about his current situation, knowing that he is unable to provide specifics. He tells that he is dealing with a difficult problem, but it is progressing. He asks Carly what is going on in her life. Carly informs him about Sasha leaving town with Daisy, and she and Michael are devastated since they don't know whether they'll see them again. Carly explains that Sasha believes someone is targeting Daisy, and tells him about the events that occurred. She can't blame Sasha for wanting to protect the baby after what she's been through, but it's killing her and Michael. She admits she wanted to call him to fix everything, but Daisy could have been targeted because of Sunny, so she didn't want their worlds to collide. Furthermore, he has broken the rules for her several times, and she does not want to appear to be taking advantage of him. She claims he is enough for her as is, and he does not need to suddenly solve all of her problems. Jack believes if something is wrong, she should come to him, even if all he can do is listen. Jack has to check in at work, departs and returns, but is unable to tell her what is going on. He understands that not being able to share his work with others is probably why he has never attempted to have a personal life of his own. However, simply being with her, even if he can't say anything, helps. They kissed again. Vaughn sets Joss straight. Vaughn and Joss arrive at Jack's office and discover it is empty. Vaughn says Jack has probably taken the afternoon off, and Joss assumes he is with her mother. She yells that it must be against policy to date an agent's mother. He advises she should drop it, that making waves for your boss leads to a boring desk job. He warns her not to go up against Jack. He went from serving a prison sentence to becoming the WSB chief, and he wields enormous power. Joss asks, "So you're telling me Brennan can do whatever he wants and get away with it?" Vaughn says Brennan is the best boss he's ever had, and he's saved him more time than he can remember. If she wants to work for the WSB, she does not want Jack as an enemy. Will Anna or Dante tell Carly about Joss? Anna tells Dante in her office that she believes Jack recruited Joss to work as a WSB agent, and that Vaughn is her partner. Dante cannot believe his younger sister is a spy, but Anna claims she was recruited when she was younger than Joss. She claims Joss is the ideal agent because no one would suspect a college student of being a spy. Anna observes that Brennan has an eye for talent, and after speaking with Carly earlier, she is confident that Joss has been sent to monitor Dalton and whoever he works for. Dante wonders how Brennan could have drawn Joss in. Anna responds, "With Cyrus Renault." Joss was desperate to prove Cyrus killed Dex, so she went to considerable measures to conduct her own investigation. Brennan may have observed her drive, and she wonders whether he was helping her pursue Cyrus. That would have provided Jack with an opportunity to test her, and she always had leads that a civilian would not have. Dante despises the idea that Brennan exploited Joss' grief to turn her into an agent. Anna recalls feeling alone in the world and studying dance when she was recruited, but she knew there was more out there for her. Her recruiter told her she was unique and had the potential to change the world, which is most likely what Jack said to Joss. Being in the WSB filled a void for her, and Joss's experience is likely to be similar.